Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier, the post positions for the Kentucky Oaks. Hot off the griddle, and the big news, Matt, is that the number 14 is the horse that many people believe is the best horse east of the Rockies, the morning line favorite. It's Mona Moy Girl. This is not a good post position, whether she has speed or not. She is stuck on the far outside. How much does this affect her chances as she tries a mile and an eighth for the first time?
To me, it doesn't really affect tremendously because she has that ability to be forward or come from slightly off of it. So sure, it's not ideal. You don't want to be breaking from the far outside, but at the same time, it would be one thing if it was a confirmed speed horse that absolutely needed to go. If you're a closer, it's a little bit easier. Eskimo Kiss is drawn just to the inside. You know what her game's going to be. Just take back and make one run. Mona Moy Girl, maybe she's going to be 2 or 3 wide going into that first turn, but if she's as good as it looks like she is on paper, I can't sit there and make that excuse and say that's why she may or may not win this race. If she doesn't win, I don't think it's going to be because of the post position.
Taking a look at the first 8 horses here in the Kentucky Oaks, you'll note that the number 3, Classy Act, has a good amount of early speed, probably the speed nearest the inside. It'll be very interesting to see, and I'm interested in your thoughts on the 7, Rhea, who has now been acclimated a bit in Southern California. This horse, of course, second in the UAE Derby behind Mendelssohn, well behind Mendelssohn to be sure. Do you think she's going to show some big speed?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It sounds like Baffert in the most recent workout tried to get her to relax a little bit. You can watch the tape. You can find that online. She relaxed a little, I guess, but she was still kind of intent on pushing the pace early on, or pushing it with her workmate. Her workmate was a nice older horse who's about a mid-80 kind of buyer horse, and she just dusted him. I think she's going to be forwardly placed. I don't think she'll be contesting the lead because we've talked about it. The difference between speed over in Dubai and speed over here in the United States, it's a different ball game. I think she will be forward, though, and she's another one. I don't think there's going to be any sort of concerns about, is she going to be compromised by trip? I think she should be forward. I think she should be in a good position, and if she's good enough, she should have a puncher's chance.
In the 9 hole is Take Charge Paula, a filly that we've seen in South Florida this year for Kieran McLaughlin. This filly has shown some speed. She has been training in blinkers recently. Would you be surprised if she is keyed up coming out of the gate and all of a sudden forces this pace? Yet another speed horse that Mona Moy Girl might have to deal with if she breaks alertly.
Yeah, Take Charge Paul is a horse that she probably doesn't get the respect she deserves, but at the same time, there's a reason, I think, when you look at her overall body of work, she hasn't gotten markedly faster since her 2-year-old campaign. Maybe with the change as far as equipment is concerned, maybe that makes her take a step forward. I think if nothing else, she's a horse that pushes the pace early and at least ensures that things are going to be honest up front.
Getting back to the favorite, Mona Moy Girl, again on the far outside, post position 14. She is a neck away from being undefeated through 6 lifetime starts. Am I reaching here in saying the only other time she drew the far outside post was the Rachel Alexandra Stakes 2 starts back? And it was one of the rare times where Mona Moy Girl did not break at all. She put the fear of you-know-what into the fans that bet her down to 9-10 that day. She still was able to overcome based on her class and her ability. There are going to be a lot of people hollering as these horses break past the stands the first time in the Kentucky Oaks. Do you think this outside post has any correlation? Maybe she'll break slowly. Does it bother you? Or is it something you just simply can't worry about?
No, I have to be honest. I suppose there is a scenario where this is a problem, but again, if she's as good as we build her to be and as good as she's shown on the racetrack, I'm not going to sit here, and if I like her, I'm not going to use this as the reason that I'm not going to pick her or not going to try to key all my wagers around her. I think if you think that she is the best horse in the race, highest last out buyer of the 95, she's done little wrong. She's never been out of the exacta from 6 lifetime starts. I have a hard time believing that this is why she won't win this race. If she doesn't win, I think it's because she's not going to be good enough on Friday afternoon, whether it's because of the weather or because the race doesn't necessarily set up ideally for her.
What trip does she pull? What does Flo do breaking out of the gate? Is he very, very aggressive? Is he intent on making the lead, or is he simply intent on gaining a forward position without losing too much ground going into the first turn, or does he take back?
No, I think honestly he rides her like he rode Gunrunner, where you know what, you think you're on the best horse. If you make the front, great, which I don't think he's going to. When you look and see Classy Act down to the inside, you have Coach Rocks. We talked about Rhea has a little bit of early tactical speed. Who knows? Heaven has my Nikki could be forwardly placed. Take Charge Paula. I don't think they're going to be intent on making the front, but I think he's going to ride her like she's the best. Keep her out of harm's way and let her do her job. Go out there and think that you're on a Cadillac when everybody else is sitting there in some sort of a lesser vehicle.
As you said, the pace should at least be solid, if not fast, in the Oaks due to the presence of all the horses that we've mentioned. This sets things up very nicely for arguably the two best closers in this race. The 10 Midnight Bisou, the 11 My Miss Lily. Midnight Bisou might now be the favorite at post time because of this whole post position situation. She drew post 10, she is comfortable from coming off of the pace, and she is looking forward to a fast pace up front. I'm sure the connections, they're not upset at all about how this is shaken out.
No, I think they've got to be very, very content, very pleased. She hasn't done anything wrong throughout her career. She's 2 noses away from being a perfect 5 for 5. I think that this is going to be a very, very advantageous setup for her as far as the pace scenario. I think they're going to be able to take her back. The mile and an eighth doesn't look like it should be any issue with the way that she's finished in her last 2 races. I suppose, again, the only concern is with a horse coming from off of it a little bit, as opposed to a Monomoy Girl who figures to be forwardly placed or at least pressing the pace, where she's probably going to avoid any kind of traffic issues. Midnight Bisou, there is the outside scenario where she gets bottled up in behind runners and doesn't find clean run. If that's the case, that's just unfortunate luck.
And the same could be said, of course, for My Miss Lily, 1 stall outside of Midnight Bisou in post position 11. In the Kentucky Derby, of course, a little bit of a different animal at 1.25 miles with 20 horses. There is usually a scrum and just a cavalry charge passing the stands the first time, and horses and jockeys breaking from the outside, just intent on herding down towards the inside to save as much ground as possible, often putting the squeeze on horses drawn towards the inside. In a situation like the Oaks, a 14-horse field at a shorter distance, 1.125 miles, does it concern you about horses breaking towards the inside? The Sassy Sienna from the rail, Coach Rocks from the 2-hole, these horses that, if they don't exactly break alertly, with horses trying to save ground from the outside, they could get shuffled back down towards the rail.
Yeah, certainly something that you got to keep in the back of your mind. I think for a horse like Sassy Sienna, possibly that could be a little bit of a concern because she's not necessarily a horse that has a ton of early speed, but she's also not a true one-run closer. So you're always going to be at the mercy of every kind of accordioning over onto you by the rail. As far as Coach Rocks and Classy Act are concerned, I think you hit the nail on the head. If they break, they're going to be fine. They're going to go and be forwardly placed. If one of them has a little bit of a bobble and misses the break by a beat, then yeah, that could certainly compromise their chances, and particularly with a horse like Classy Act. If she misses the break for any reason or she's a step slow, not only does that compromise her chances, but that could slightly change the dynamics of the pace scenario, where if you take one of those speed horses out, perhaps it doesn't heat up as much as it potentially could. Maybe that compromises the horse to come from off of it.
A really interesting development at the post position draw on Monday morning at Churchill Downs. Race favorite for the Kentucky Oaks, Monomoy Girl, draws the far outside, post 14. Perhaps this will now become a little bit more of a jockey's race, with horses with tactical speed trying to maybe force Flo to go a little bit fast early with Monomoy Girl, a little bit faster early than he would like to go as she tries to go 1.125 miles and maybe force him a little bit wide. It now becomes a little bit even more interesting, the Kentucky Oaks, with Monomoy Girl, the morning line 2-1 favorite, stuck in post position 14. Stay tuned to DRFTV all weekend long. We'll have the Kentucky Oaks Stakes preview. That's actually your DRF.com Friday race of the day with 3 formulator past performances and all of the undercard stakes races leading up to the Run for the Roses, Saturday's Kentucky Derby.